I was lucky enough to be invited and by Warner Brothers to watch Godzilla x Kong The New Empire, and here are my thoughts. This was a movie that surprised me because the previous installments weren't as captivating for me. The one Godzilla movie that I thoroughly enjoyed is the 2014 Godzilla. That felt more grounded and more brutal as opposed to the other Godzilla movies, but they started to slowly grow on me. This movie is a continuation of the battle between the two titans, but it brings a much more to the table than just typical monster mayhem. With this movie, it delves deeper into the histories, the origins, the mysterious surroundings of Godzilla, Kong, Hollow Earth, and introducing a undiscovered threat to both titans and humanity itself, and that is Scar King. When watching these movies, the issue was the balance between humans and titans, either cramming in too much monster action or too much character development from the humans, which we didn't care about. But this film knew exactly what it was going to do. It was exactly what it said on the tin. An epic showdown between four titans. The human characters like Rebecca Hall, Dan Stevens, Kaylee Huttle, and Brian Tyree Henry added a rich layer of narrative depth. Nothing that overwhelms the story, but enough for you to keep you intrigued. The person who stole the show for me, even though there were a side character in this movie, was Brian Tyree Henry. He was the comedic relief in the entire film, but he made you love what was happening on screen. Witty one-liners, chemistry between him and Dan Stevens, it worked well. And we all know in this film, Kong is different. Kong is a benevolent protector, while Scar is more of an imperialistic tyrant. Kong wants to find belonging, he wants to find a home, he wants to find his own people. Unfortunately for him, the titan that's holding all of his people captive and ruling over them is Scar. And although Scar was introduced more than halfway through the film, his appearance and presence was quite formidable, and I did appreciate what they did with Shimo and Scar King along with Godzilla and Kong, going deeper into the history of who they were, who was fighting who. And I'm not going to spoil it, but when you watch the film, you'd understand how deep it actually goes. Out of all the monsters in the Monsterverse, Ghidorah was one of the most formidable opponents they ever had, but Scar King for me is up there as probably one of the best villains in the Monsterverse. The only downside is I wish he had a lot more screen time. And the thing is, his introduction is more of a significant addition because it showcases not just his brute strength, but also his level of intelligence and strategy. This is also reinforced by his possession of his trophies from previous conquests and the spine of a defeated adversary worn like a bandolier. It just showcases his dominance over the other creatures. And Scar King is not alone in his quest for supremacy. He has control over Shimu. Shimu is controlled by Scar King with the power of pain, and was once what Godzilla was many years ago. And the cool thing is, every character and every titan had their own story arc happening at the same time. Godzilla prepping up, knowing the fact that there's a new big bad coming. Kong figuring out who he is and trying to find his own people. And the humans going to Hollow Earth to figure out how to stop what is potentially a world-ending threat. But I'll say one thing though, Godzilla, he's on demon time. If there is a definition of on-site, Godzilla would be that very definition. When Kong comes back to Earth for help with Godzilla, Godzilla doesn't care. He just attacks the hell out of him until there is a substantial element of the plot that forces them both to work together. This is a film which I'm glad to have watched. It was exactly what it said on the tin. The action scenes are breathtaking, showing the prowess of Godzilla and Kong in new and creative ways. And the film direction by Adam Wingard is much appreciated, and it somehow balanced the monumental action pieces with titans and the human element. Sometimes these movies need to figure out how to balance the characters in terms of titans and humans. Godzilla Minus One did this perfectly, but being a film primarily being focused on the human element, it worked well. The visual effects won an Oscar for a reason. Not to say this film is Oscar worthy, but at least they tried to do something which the other films could not, and that is balance everything out. This is a film which I recommend everyone to go and check out when it does come out March 29th in cinemas. Have you seen Godzilla x Kong The New Empire? What did you think? Did you like it? Did you not? Let me know in the comments, and hopefully I can see you in my next video.